It's all about the court's judgments and the implication, if any, or the impact, if any, in the forthcoming EDO state gubernatorial election. You know the story too. If you do not know it, a judgment was made and people have been reacting to that. Some are saying it doesn't affect the candidacy of Aswego. Others are saying, it's a matter they should take seriously because it affects the candidacy of Aswego Dalo. But the question now is, how is it going to impact the election? I have a member of Aswe Igodalo, of course, Ogie, campaign team, right, media team. He is a councillor of EDO local government. Yeah, Judgement to welcome Honorable Harrison Ezeko. It's good to have you join us in the studio. Welcome.
Good morning,
All right.
Good morning, viewers.
Okay. And still very close to him, he is a member of Olumide Akpata campaign media team. He is a legal practitioner. Judgement to welcome St. Michael Segwagi. Welcome to TMI on this edition.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you coming.
Good morning, viewers at home.
All right. Now, all the way from the U.S., New Jersey, I'd like to welcome Honorable Ehi Igariba, and of course, a member of the APC. Honorable, welcome to TMI on this edition. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much, Wilson, and good morning, viewers.
Okay. And all the way from Germany, we have a very vibrant, it's good to hear about you 2 o'clock, Benjamin Mayer. He has this passion for the PDP. Benjamin, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for having me this morning.
All right. So let's put the show on the road. I want to start off from you, Harrison Ezeko, for obvious reasons, because right now we had so many opinions emanating because of the judgment, so to speak. Some are saying it's going to affect, no matter how we want to look at it, the candidacy of the PDP. Since it concerns you, and indirectly concerns the political parties because we have 17 already. What do you have to say about all this, Harrison?
Well, thank you very much. You see, all these are what we call distractions, and we don't want to labor ourselves too much on issues that are not really the main issues. Yes, the court judgment was out, and the copy, the truth, the first step of that copy is everywhere. And the issue here is that one lawyer who were representing 3 persons, first of all, have a media shot, even before the completion of the ruling, if I may say so. He's the one that created this problem everywhere. Everybody has seen the copy of the judgment. In that judgment, is there anywhere that Aswan Ighodalo, the candidate of PDP, was talked about? And neither anywhere the primary was notified? It is not there. The issue that they brought to the court is that some few persons, 3 persons went to court, saying that they were removed from the list of delegates that took place in February. And their prayer was that let them include them on the list. That is what they took to the court. The court is not for their Christmas. They will not just give judgment for what you did not ask for. So based on what they brought to the court, that was the ruling of the Justice Ekpu, who in the first instance do not even have right to entertain that suit. Because it's very clear we have several Supreme Court judgments. Akpabio is the president. The same issue. Akpabio was APC. The party, the Supreme Court held that delegate issue is the primary responsibility of the party. It is the party that will determine who is a delegate in their party, not the court. For example, we have a list, and this delegate is the party, this is our list. Then somebody just come from somewhere and say, I'm supposed to be part of that list. Or which authority are you going to be part of the list? It is the party that decides. So there are several Supreme Court judgments to that effect. Even in the state here, during the presidential election, the same legacy group went to court. The same Justice Ekpu court also gave a judgment. The same conflicting judgment. And the judgment was thrown out and put aside by the appeal court up to the Supreme Court. That delegate issues, primary issue, is the responsibility of the party, not for the court. And having seen all this, he went ahead to try to do some few things. So let me set the record straight that the judgment that came out on Thursday have nothing to do with our candidate. Our candidate was not mentioned. Our party was not mentioned. The judgment is there. There was nowhere was stated clearly that Aswe Godano is no longer the candidate of PDP or INEC should do otherwise. Nothing like that. So why are people just raising issues when none exist? Yes, of course, if that issue could, the party have the right to appeal to set the record straight, so that tomorrow nobody will not say it's this way. But for now, he have nothing to do with our candidate. Our candidate was not mentioned, the permanent was not mentioned, and our party was not mentioned.
All right, Barrister St. Michael, you heard him. He said it doesn't concern their candidates. His name wasn't mentioned, permanent wasn't mentioned. I mean, what can you make out of that?
Well, it is quite unfortunate that people just deliberately wants to, mislead the public. If the judgment, as it were, does not affect the candidacy of Aswe Godalo, it does not touch on the legality or otherwise of the primaries that threw up, his candidature. The question is, why has PDP and Aswe filed a notice of appeal? Because notices of appeal are filed where an aggrieved individual feels that the judgment delivered is either wholly or partially against his interest. The mere fact that as we speak, a notice of appeal has been filed only go to suggest that the judgment delivered by Justice Eyang Ekwu of the Federal High Court is wholly against the interest of PDP as well as his candidate. Having said that, he has said again that the Supreme Court has settled the issues as it relates to the internal affairs of party. That a person who is not an aspirant or an outsider, are not allowed to meddle into the affairs of opposition party. In other words, these persons are largely and usually regarded as meddlesome interlopers. Let me quickly correct that electoral matters are sui generis. They are in a class of their own. They are not bound by, the normal norm and convention that guide the regular courts. To that extent, it is usually very difficult, to, expect that precedents, it's usually difficult to stick precedents with all the cases, especially where the facts are different and where the law canvassed, before the court are also different. Like in the instant case, the issue before the courts is not one that borders on, what do you call now, the internal affairs of the party, as provided for in section 84, paragraph, subsection 14 of the 1999 Constitution. That is not the focus. In fact,
what's the focus?
That's not the focus of the court. And that was heavily amplified by Justice Ekwu. That the focus and the business of the court in the instant case is about the internal democracy of the party as enshrined in section 228, paragraph A and paragraph B of the 1999 Constitution, which is also the spirit behind Section 84, subsection 13 of the Electoral Act. Now, Section 228 of the Constitution, provides that guidelines provided for in party constitution for the purpose of the conduct of primaries are meant to strengthen internal democracy of the party.
All right.
No, let me anchor it here.
Yes.
And that is exactly the reason why Section 84, subsection 13 provides that any party that violates the provisions of the Electoral Act with respect to the conduct of party primaries will not be fit to have their name on the ballot.
I'll come back to you. Will not be fit to have their name
on the ballot.
And that is where the battle line is drawn, according to you. But to Harrison, they said that doesn't hold water. Well, let me get straight down to Germany, where Benjamin is standing by. Benjamin, what do you have to say about this? Because Harrison said it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect the candidate of the PDP, because his name wasn't mentioned, that is still the bona fide candidate of the PDP. But from what St. Michael's talked about, he said following section 222, subsection 4, right? 228, but subsection 4.
Paragraph A and paragraph
B. That it means that as it stands right now, PDP might not have a candidate. So Benjamin, over to you.
Thank you for having me this morning. Permit me, first of all, like to sensitize the general public on the issue, the fake news that is being handled, the disgruntled element in Edo State, Nigerian at large. As of this very moment, I want to clear the general public that Dr. Rebuttal of the PDP, who is the governorship candidate of the Edo 2024, remains our sole candidate in PDP, and nothing changes that. And I also want to point to the fact that the problem we have in Nigeria today is fake news. And once the fake news goes out, your enemy will jump on it. They will make a song, they will dance to it. They will even have a slogan and add to it just for them to feel pitied and feel victorious. We have instituted a court case, or a legal the barrister who gave her that fake information on the judgment. Barrister Evans, I guess, with their those sons and daughters in diaspora for Dr. Rebuttal and for the PDP, we have decided to take this matter up, not lightly, but to the full course, and the author of the law will serve as an example for future occurrences. There are some sensitive positions people should be able to occupy and be very, very careful in the statement they make and their actions and behavior. As a legal luminary who does not have a legal tender document to come forward and spill a wrong information to the general public and give an interview to the general public, I think is a misconduct on his profession. On this angle, we are going to be suing him for misleading the general public. But I want to say this, and quote me anywhere. Dr. Rebuttal have become every other Ibienesede political party problem. I call them other political party Ibienesede because most of them don't even have a background to even, they don't have a background to even that will lead them to the wards and all that. And you can see that everybody is totally against Dr. Rebuttal because it's been accepted by the good people of Edo State. And I also want to quote, and I want to say, the judgment of the court has no way, in any form or manner, disqualified Dr. Rebuttal of the PDP. It has no way. It has never, and it will never, been an issue in the forthcoming election. It will have no impact. And I also want you to know that when God wants to bless you, he will use your enemy as a point of contact to bless you. On that faithful day, if you go to the social media, there is no post that you will see that Dr. Aswe's name was not appeared. It appears several times on the social media spaces, on the news outlet, social media news outlet. And these are free political advert, I say. And I'm happy that it happens. And we are not deterred. We are not deterred. The primary election of the PDP that Dr. Dalo emerges from as the candidate of the PDP in Edo State was free and fair. It was done and dusted on a public space, not on the back door or on the back scene. Everybody saw it. He won with a landslide, and the people are with him. So if some delegates have decided to go to court because they feel they were not carried along, or they feel that they were not legally, politically, or that party legally qualified to be part of the delegate that to be accredited, and they went to court, that should be on a separate case on its own. And that's what the court have simply hold on, that the
I will
delegate should
come
be
back to
carried
you,
along.
Benjamin. I will come back to you. Just hold on, I'll come back to you, okay? Now, let's get straight down to U.S., New Jersey, where Honorable is standing by. From what Benjamin said, they said, one, fake news. Two, they are instituting a suit against the lawyer. Is it one to some of that nature? Yes, that made that comment. They're going to institute a suit against him. And of course, three, that Aswa Godalo remains the bona fide candidate of the PDP. Take it up from there, Honorable Ehi.
Thank you very much, Wilson. I listened to him very carefully, Mr. Benjamin. Though I do take exception to the very uncharitable words that he had used, calling indigents and citizens of Edo State disgruntled elements because they have a different opinion from his. I think that is overboard, and he ought to be more civil since he's speaking to the entire world. People it's their inalienable rights to have their own opinion, and they must be respected within the confines of the law and not bullied by using very, what I would call very strict words on them. That is not and should not be permitted on national and international media spaces. I haven't said that. My learned friend had already said, if the only reason you appeal a judgment is if you feel that part of the judgment or all of the judgment has become injurious to your interests or your person, which means the judgment you perceive it as negative against you. Then I would like to point out some very interesting things here. Justice, the first defendant in that case was INEC. And INEC, in their own wisdom, chose to file a memorandum of appearance in the suit, but they did not appear. They went further to tell the judge that whatever decision was made in that suit, they are bound by it. INEC said that court judgment is binding on them, even though they just filed a memorandum of appearance. That's a very weighty issue right there, for the PDP. Then you come back to another very grave issue which they haven't addressed. I did my research, and for the purpose of the primaries, there were 563 delegates. even the governor and the ex-2 deputy governor were not delegates. I think they didn't use statutory delegates this time. So most of the delegates needed to be voted in as ad hoc delegates, and eventually, Aso Ighodaro Esquire was declared winner by 577, which was actually more than what they had announced, that they were only using 563. So it overshot the delegates that were officially accredited. That's one. Two, if the judge had said that out of the 577 delegates, 378 were supposed to be a part of the primary process, but they were unlawfully excluded, which means only 199 delegates of the 577 delegates lawfully voted for the PDP candidates. The question now is, if you are saying the judge did not talk about your candidates, that is fair. But the judge did talk about the delegates who were elected or voted for the candidates in the primaries, which led to his emergence as a candidate. And it's already tried law in the case of McFadden versus USC, where the Honorable Lord Denham have, said, and very, very, very conspiracy, that you cannot place something on nothing and expect it to stand. It will fall down flat. The candidacy of Aso Ighodaro Esquire is rested on the activities of the delegates, which was the voting of the delegates at the primaries. So if you are taking away 378 delegates from the 577 that led to his emergence, you're only left with 199, which is not a majority of delegates. So what that tells you is that if these delegates are included, the possibility is they may have voted for someone else, which means another candidate may have emerged. And there is a candidate or a former candidate in the process, Nigeria, they will call them aspirants, who is alleging that the authentic delegates voted for him. That's the immediate former deputy governor, Philip Shaibu. And he has a case to that effect, to say this or most of these 378 delegates that were disenfranchised at the primaries voted for me. That is on the one hand. A lot of people are quick to say there is the law saying that you cannot interfere with the primaries process. No, nobody is interfering with the primary process. People are interfering with, they are adjudicating on those who voted at the primary process. It's different from the primary process. This took place before the primaries. It's not the primaries itself. And therefore, if the process is leading to the primaries itself, it's for any reason illegal, as has been said by the Honorable Justice Eko. And furthermore, the PDP were party to that suit. And one of the defendants was the National Vice Chairman, South, Chief Dan Obi. And it will interest you to know that what the judge actually looked at was what the evidence that the PDP brought. And when the PDP had tendered the list of their delegates, which was approved from the national, it was at variance with and different from what was used in the stadium.
All right.
It clearly showed that some people have been excluded.
I will come back
Now
to you,
the court
Honorable.
said, include them.
Okay. I will come back to you. I will come back to you. Well, Harrison, you heard Honorable Ehi, and of course you heard Comrade Benjamin, their own opposing views. Now he's saying that nobody's talking about the primaries, but the process. Then later, that's what the judge happened. After all, you can't build without a foundation. You move the foundation from a building, the building goes down flat. You get disparities. Number of delegates, 300 something against 400 something, making it higher to 470 something. I know the mathematics really doesn't really add up.
Anyway, let me not join issues with him. Number one, he live very far, you know. Those who feel that they love this country, they should come back home and face the process. You are not in the country, so you don't know what is happening here. First, let me set the record straight.
But he gave you a details of what transpired.
Let me set the record straight.
Don't forget that the world is a global village, so he has information at his disposal.
Straight. The delegates, the people, the numbers, there was no disparity of the delegates at the stadium. The number of persons that was accredited, the number of persons that voted.
But he said from what
that is his personal information.
From what the court have right now,
the court
the
did not even look at
disparity.
that issue. That is the problem they are having.
Okay.
That was not the issue. Those people didn't take permanent to court. That is the issue they have. It's Congress. Those who went to court said they were excluded. 3 people said they were representing 380 something. It is 3 of them that went to court. Who said that they were excluded from the Congress of the party that led to the delegates, the adult delegate, 300 per ward. That was the issue they took to the court. And I'm asking them to face the judgment that was given by Justice Ekman. First, let me make it clear. He talks about guideline. Who prepared the guideline? It's not the party. The party had a guideline for this election, for that Congress. The party sent supervisors all over the world, including INEC, that this is where the Congress will take place. This is where you go. After the Congress, the same party took the list of the Congress of the 300 delegates, took it to INEC. Thereafter, those are people that were accredited to go and do the primaries. So these people they are talking about, that they said they are not being a member of the suit, which list do they carry? Who gave them the list?
Don't forget that. Hold on. Don't forget that these persons are members of your party.
How come, sir? No, let's not digress from the main.
We are not digressing.
The issue is this: the party has to conduct primaries. It's the party, the national that conduct primaries. It's the national that determine who is the delegate. The election was conducted. The list was sent to the national. It's the national that sent list to INEC that this is our delegate. If not, if it's not the party, that means Labour Party or APC can just bring their people and say they are members of PDP. No, it is the party. So if the lawyer in his own wisdom decided to go do otherwise and try to give judgment, like I said, they are lawyers. They should speak to the judgment that was given. They are saying you cannot build something on nothing. And you're not telling me that the Justice Ekman does not have wisdom. He should have made a pronouncement. Because if Justice Ekman had made a pronouncement that these are the issues, we can understand. The law, what he said is very clear that these people were excluded. Let them bring them as delegates, which events are overtaking that. And you also know that the Constitution is also very clear, the Electoral Act. There is only an aspirant that can query party primaries. These 3 persons, they are not aspirants.
They are saying they are not questioning the primaries, but the process that led to the primaries.
The judge they went to go and meet. So are you not telling me that he didn't know what he was doing? He should have told them that since the process that led to this thing was not okay, on this note, Asue Godaro, PDP is nullified. Did you see it on the judgment? Are you not saying the man doesn't? They are not interpreting for the man. They are not assuming this is what's supposed to be. But I'm telling you, the copy of the judgment is with them. They should look at it and tell Edo people everywhere that this is where the judge made the pronouncement or the judgment. It's not there. He said we appeal the judgment. Yes, you can appeal the judgment. You are a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm telling you that you can appeal a judgment if to set the record straight.
All right.
PDP is appealing this judgment to set the record straight.
Okay, you just hold on. I want to go for a break. When we return, you continue with your line of thought. Don't go away. We'll be right back.